Hi, friends. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Okay, but Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today we're recapping and chatting about Once Upon a Time, episode 109, True North. This episode aired on January 15th, 2012. It was written by David H. Goodman and Liz Tegelar, and it was directed by Dean White. So before we get into our recapping, chatting, and chaos, we have a little bit of a synopsis for the episode. In the Enchanted Forest. Out on a trip to collect wood, Hansel and Gretel get separated from their father and run into none other than Regina, the evil queen. She gives them a test before she agrees to help them find their father, forcing them into the den of the blind witch to retrieve something for her. Using teamwork and Gretel's smarts, they're able to evade the witch and return to Regina's palace unharmed with her prize, the poisoned apple. When she offers them a life with her as reward, they turn her down and, as punishment, are sent to find their father, alone, in the infinite forest. And in Storybrooke, Ava and Nicholas are caught stealing when they try to rope Henry into a scheme, but after bringing them home, Emma discovers that they've been living in a basement, trying to keep anyone from knowing their mother recently passed away. Regina has already contacted social services to place them in a few foster homes in Boston, but Emma is determined to keep them together. After locating their father, she convinces him that he has what it takes to be their parent, despite never knowing about them. And during a late-night chat over some pumpkin pie, Emma and Henry encounter a newcomer to Storybrooke, a stranger on a motorcycle who's looking for a room. Strangers don't just come to Storybrooke. Or at least they didn't. Alright, so this is again another one of our very, episodic kind of drop-in episodes. It's very much, they just chose to do Hansel and Gretel this time,
Yeah.
right? So, do you want to start with some of your notes?
My first note is just your son definitely eats candy.
I mean, that was in, I think, the wiki as an oops, or like whatever they call it on the
Mm-hmm.
wiki. It was like, she says that even though we saw him take the Apollo bars into the mine in 105, so like
Exactly. I was like, he's definitely eating candy. That and all
they're
children. All children eat candy. They'll
all
find a
children eat
way.
candy. So it's funny you say all children eat candy. There's something in our notes that I've written twice to ensure that I don't forget, because it's about letting kids eat candy.
Okay.
Um, this is a Hansel and Gretel episodes, and it's just even funnier that Regina said that, honestly. From the 2012 San Diego Comic-Con panel, they were all asked what their favorite fairy tales were. And when they got to Lana, she said that her favorite fairy tale was Hansel and Gretel. And she went, I think it's because they went to a house made entirely out of candy and they got to eat it. And as a child, I couldn't eat candy.
Aw.
So she's like, I blame my mother for that one.
I mean, same.
Throughout that whole panel, things have been happening that people are like, creating a support group for Lana. It was like a joke that had started because at the beginning of the panel, they talked about her fandom, which are the Evil Regals. And she said to the whole audience, stand up, Evil Regals, show yourselves. And not very many people stood up, which, to be fair, is not indicative of the size of her fandom. It's just indicative of who can go to San Diego Comic-Con.
That's very far away.
It is. But then they mentioned, they asked her if children run from her because she plays such an evil character, and she's like, children do run from me, actually. She's like, in fact, a lot of people run from me.
I wouldn't.
I know we wouldn't, obviously.
We would not.
But the joke started at that panel of starting a support group for Lana, and then that one happened again later on with not being able to eat candy as a kid, and they're like, just join the support group. Oh my god, people, it's too funny.
The evil queen's hair in this was just chef's kiss.
I love her costume in this episode.
It
It's
was
perfect.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I had to make that note, of course, because I'm just like, yes, please. This is what I love. The hair and the hat, all of it. um, I don't have a ton of notes because the next was definitely, this is so
Mm-hmm.
traumatizing for Emma. My gods, because it is extremely traumatizing for Emma.
Yeah, the whole thing is just digging up a whole lot. I mean, a big thing with this one is family, right? There's nothing more important than family. I didn't clock how many times they said that in this episode, but they said it a lot in this one. And just kind of digging through the foster records and everything else, it's definitely, there's a lot of trauma for her. There's a whole
Oh
lot
yeah.
going into this episode. And from her trauma, I guess. We've heard her kind of bring it up a couple times, and I mentioned it in our episode at the beginning about Emma's superpower, like how she can kind of tell when anyone is lying. I think I said like in season 1 she gets it wrong like 90% of the time. With Ava and Nicholas, this is like the 10% of the time she gets it right, because, and I this is my interpretation of it, take with it what you will. I don't think she has this innate superhuman ability to be a human lie detector, especially since, as I see, she gets it wrong a lot when she's
Mhm.
emotionally involved. Um, but she's, I'm certain from her time in the foster system, she does pick up on people's like kind of subconscious cues or something like that that they're lying. She's like, it's probably served her very well up until this point to be able to do that and to kind of suss out when someone is being honest with her. But most of the time in Storybrooke, she's emotionally invested. Her emotions tend to get in the way.
Yeah.
But not with Ava and Nicholas. She says, money problems aside, is everything okay? And they go, yep, we're all good. And they go in, and then we see her. Obviously, she got into the house and goes, so why'd you guys lie to me? Like,
Mhm.
she's not emotionally invested, and she's been in that space where she kind of felt like she needed to do whatever she could to make sure she was okay and not let anyone else see the weakness or anything like that. So she's very
I
attuned
can
to that.
relate.
Yeah,
Can relate.
can relate sometimes
Um,
to these coping skills.
well, yeah. So the part that really got me too is I need more on Henry's birth father. And I wrote that, and I also put she can't be telling the truth, which of course later in the episode I'm like, called
Yeah,
it.
yeah, of course.
Got that one down. That was obviously a lie.
Oh yeah, that was way too nice of a story to be the truth.
Oh, definitely. But then at that same time, I'm like, I need more. Who was Henry's father? Because he's not from Storybrooke, right? Like, who's Henry's father? Oh, I don't like your face. Wait, what is that face?
I'm making so many faces.
Is Henry's father from Storybrooke?
No.
What is that noise? I don't, that's not a no.
Okay, so people that have watched the show know why. I'm sure they're all internally laughing because they know why I'm saying this. I know everything about Henry's father.
Oh, I can't know yet, can I?
No, you can't know yet. That's an absolute
Oh,
spoiler, but what's even funnier is that when it's revealed, I have a story.
damn. I keep doing this.
Yeah, you keep almost doing this. Because his father was almost not his father. They almost changed it. Because people figured it out pretty quickly.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
So,
Oh,
but
man.
yeah, I know the whole thing about Henry's father. I mean, the line in that really, and this, I'm not even gonna tell you what the answer to this is, but the line in his thing when he asks her about him, that really gets me, because I wrote down like, yep, that's definitely a thing, is when Henry asks if there's something that he could see to remember him by. There's absolutely something he could see to remember his father by, but I'm not telling you what that is.
How long until I know?
Season 2.
Oh,
It's
shit.
206 is
We're not even done with season 1.
we're not even done with the first DVD. We're not even done with the second DVD.
We're at DVDs now.
Well, because I'm thinking of this because I'm thinking for next week.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we record these weekly, I'm gonna be watching. We're at 7:15 a.m. is our next once episode. That one has audio commentary with Ginny and Josh. So I'm gonna watch it with and without commentary on the
I
DVDs.
wish I had access to that because that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't do it for the pilot, and I think it's because I already knew what I wanted to talk about and all the fun facts I wanted to bring in. But for the rest of, especially season 1, because there's one episode per DVD that has commentary, so I'll do it for this one, and then I know what the ones are at the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the season. I'm not gonna say what they are though.
Do you want probably my funniest note?
Yes, please.
I I wrote, "Am I attracted to the lady who eats children?" Yes, yes, I am.
The Blind Witch. She's good. She's phenomenal as this. She really is.
She does a wonderful job, but the whole time I'm just like, you can eat the children. It's okay.
It's fine.
Just eat the children. I have problems.
Yeah. Well, because we all do. But like we saw a different blind witch in the second episode, right?
Hmm.
In theory so the idea is they're different people. I think this isn't, I don't know if this would be considered a plot hole. I don't know. They're just two different people. One is actually blind and dead. So she wouldn't even been able to show up at the casting of the curse anyway. And the other one's a person with her eyes sewn shut for some particular reason. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious about
Um
that one.
yeah, I have no idea. But the actor who plays the blind witch, Emma Caulfield, I think is how you say her name. That sounds right. She would most likely be known to probably most people. She was I'm gonna use the nickname here. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce the full name, but she played Anya Jenkins in Buffy the Vampire Slayer for 85 episodes. So
I've only watched so much Buffy.
yeah,
I never finished Buffy.
I think I watched the first season, and that might have been it.
I might have watched maybe the first two,
Mm-hmm.
but that's yeah.
Yeah.
I never finished. I was a Charmed girl. I've seen every episode of Charmed multiple
Mm-hmm.
times, but
Yeah.
not the other. Like I haven't watched all of Supernatural. I haven't watched all of Buffy. What's the other one that everybody loves? Angel.
Oh,
That's the one that's
yeah.
like like with Buffy.
Yeah, it's all the same
But
universe.
Charmed, all of it.
That's fair.
I grew up on that and Xena. Xena? Was her name Xena?
Xena.
Yeah, I grew up on Xena. I think my mother I think my mom might have been, I don't know what she realized what she was watching. And I love it
Probably not.
so much. So much gay awakening for me watching these shows growing up.
I mean, I'm slightly younger than you, not by a whole lot, but I am.
Not
So
by a
like
lot.
not by a lot, but by enough that Buffy was kind of before my time.
Same.
Um, so like I didn't quite catch that. Like the first like adult kind of shows, weirdly enough, that I watched were Desperate Housewives and Grey's Anatomy.
Mine was ER because ER always came on randomly in
Mm-hmm.
like early
Oh
morning.
yeah.
And they would always have like that, and Supernatural and Charmed always came on like kind of all together. And so
Mm-hmm.
I always caught a little bit of ER, even though I had no idea what was going on. And my family was obsessed with the original CSI,
Okay.
which may explain me as a human now that I realize it.
Possibly.
I grew up at like my daughter's age, she's 9, watching
Mm-hmm.
CSI. I don't know how to explain that one, but
Now I don't know. We were a Food Network family. We watched a lot of that when I was younger, and
same.
then
So
yeah,
much Paula Deen in my house, man. To the point we had all the Paula Deen cookbooks.
we were big Barefoot Contessa people in my household.
I'm not a fan.
I don't know why we watched her as much as we did. We never made anything that she cooked. Everything was like overly complicated or required ingredients that you couldn't find. Even if she
Mm-hmm.
said store bought was fine, you still couldn't find it anywhere. Or
It's
it
always
had,
that store bought is fine, and it's like,
yeah,
where is it in the store?
if you can't harvest your own vanilla pods from your homegrown tree outside your window, store bought is fine. Like no one's doing that.
Oh, you'll like this one too. In all caps. Speaking of store bought is fine. I put in all caps the fucking apple.
The apple, yeah. The fact that the prize that they had to go in there for was the poison apple makes no sense. Like, because we see in episode 102, like, I mean, again, that episode is also barely canon, but still, when Mal says, she traded Regina her sleeping curse for the dark curse. So then why apple? And why does the blind witch have the apple? Why did she steal it from Regina? There's a whole like chain of custody that doesn't entirely make any sense. I think they just needed an excuse to
Yeah.
put Regina dead center into the Hansel and Gretel episode. I want to hope it's because they knew that it was her favorite fairy tale, but also like I think they just needed to find. I think they were looking for ways to make everything connected to the main cast, like as
Mm-hmm.
much as humanly possible.
The healthiest thing in this episode is poison too.
Yeah. Well, there's a line later on when they mention the poison apple that, did you know that apples stand for health and wisdom? That's from
Oh my god.
the very end of the season. So,
Well, I'm not there yet.
I'm
It's
sorry.
taking some time.
What's even funnier about the way that I've been handling this podcast, because I was actually listening to one of our older episodes earlier, I drop lines as casual conversation.
You do. You've
I
been
do.
doing that since I've met you.
Sometimes it's on purpose, but sometimes it isn't. But it'll be fun for when you figure out what I've been saying this entire time.
I can't wait.
Because there are times that I've said things that are truthfully mundane sentences, but I know for a fact I said it because it's a once upon a timeline.
And I love the days though when you're definitely in like a good once like mood, or you've been looking at something or discussing something, or when you were doing your lives because you can't right now. I would always
No.
love when you'd start going into your accent or doing random lines, and all of us are just like our group of friends is sitting there like, okay, because none of us mind. We all love it. It's very much enjoyable.
I mean, there's a reason we made this podcast. Let's be real here.
That is true.
It's because, at the drop of a hat, I can just go into lines, dialogues, scenes, voices. it's a problem. But this is why we
Mhm.
made this, so that I can info dump at you and be okay with it and it be productive.
I'm getting to your point almost though with
Mm-hmm.
myself because I've had to do so much research for this podcast as well on my end, and it's been really
Mm-hmm.
funny because you know how we have that day like the page a day calendar that my husband got me for my birthday because my birthday's in the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter did today's and she looks at me, she goes, "I don't remember this character. Who is this, mom?" And it's not even a character you've seen. I just look over and go, "Oh, that's Peter Pescadero," and she just looked at me like, "How do you know this?" I was like, "I don't know."
No, it's bad. There was a time in the like when I was on Tumblr, like when the show was going on, that truthfully, with a lot of characters, and it more so with Regina, but like with other characters too, if their costumes were like specific enough, I could look at a screenshot without a whole lot of context and know exactly what episode it's from. Like I don't know why my brain can make these connections so quickly. Like again, I know all the first 6 seasons of their episode titles, which also basically
Mhm.
means I have a basic idea of what happens in the episodes, because that's kind of how I equate it. Is I
Yeah.
can remember if with the episode title, what kind of what happened what happened in it. That one again, I do blame on the DVDs, because that's the way that I used to like kind of jokingly do it in my head with season one, especially. Like I know that the first two DVDs have 5 episodes each, and then the last three all have four, and that's how you get 22.
My show is completely all over the place when it comes to episode amount.
Yeah, but I also do blame that a little bit on, for some reason, when I used to watch shows on DVD, instead of doing like a hit play and just kind of let it go thing like a normal person
Mhm.
would, regardless of where I was starting, I would always start from episode select and it would go out. I'd have to click on the next one and go back in. So I'd always equate the episode with the episode title.
Oh, that's smart.
I don't know why I did that, but as a child, I would always do that.
I like that though. A lot.
But but here's the thing though, I did that with Once Upon a Time. I did that with Full House. I did that with Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
The original, right?
Yes, the original.
Oh, thank goodness.
Of course. But I did not equate those episodes with their titles quite like Once Upon a Time stuck in my brain.
I mean, that makes
So
sense though.
I was also younger when I watched those. Those were like those came out on DVD. I would say probably late 2000s. So I was like between the ages of like if we're thinking 10-ish. I don't know. I don't know how math works,
No, math doesn't.
but
Nope. I was about to say math doesn't equate. What's wrong
no,
with me?
math doesn't equate.
What? But I only have a couple more notes, and that
Okay.
was that no one can leave Storybrooke because she went to leave, but she wasn't leaving. Of course, and then the last note because just more proof that I'm bi. I just put who he cute because he is.
I wrote down at the end, ooh, a new stranger has entered the ring, and he's scruffy.
He is scruffy, but apparently I like scruffy.
I like Ian Bailey. I can see he's a very like traditionally attractive man.
I guess I don't know about traditionally, but
I can see why people like him aesthetically. I get it.
yes. I love her you. It's like, oh, I can see that. For me, I'm like, hi.
There's very few men that I'm like high like that with. It's basically
hmm
Josh Dallas, an actor on the show that you haven't met yet. Um, might be just those two.
Oh my god.
That's really sad.
Look, I only have a handful, and this was very like surprising for me to go, oh, a man who's attractive. I say
Yeah,
that as a completely married woman married to a man. Um,
yeah.
I seem to like just women and then hairy men.
I mean, I will say the Once Upon a Time casting directors. I mean, they cast very attractive people. They did a very good job. Like casting overall, like I would say, like for people that are right for the characters, A plus. For people that are nice to
hmm
look at, A plus. For people that work really well together, A plus. Like they got the like
Agreed.
it's because it's like an alchemy kind of thing. Because like casting is almost like HR. Like not only are you like casting the people that are right for their roles, but like that will work well together, which is
Uh,
just is good.
yes. But that's pretty much all I had. I enjoyed it for the most part.
Hmm.
I was about to say, I see that you've made sure to remind yourself to rant.
Yeah, so I did my rant earlier. My rant of the Lana story from San Diego Comic Con.
Okay, that's what that was.
I
Okay.
didn't want to forget that because I there have been episodes in the past that while I've been editing them, I go back and look at my notes just out of curiosity, and I see things like, dang, I forgot to mention that. So like I knew for a fact this was a fandom thing that I did not want to forget because it was just adorable, and like it being Hansel and Gretel being Lana's favorite fairy tale comes back around at the very end of the show, which I think is
Aw.
a very nice through line because they repeat stuff, they kind of redo things as the show goes on, and I'm saying this now because by the time we get to it, you will forget it.
Oh, of course, it's me.
In the in the final season, there's another Hansel and Gretel episode, which is Lana's directorial debut,
Aw.
which I think is adorable, and they absolutely did on purpose.
That definitely. That is so
Yeah,
cute.
yeah. I do have some ranty, somewhat unhinged notes. I have a lot of notes as per usual, but some of them are actually funny. Well, because most of them are just my thoughts, or I'm talking to the characters in my head, but I put them on my Notion page because why not? But like at the very beginning, when Emma shows up and Regina's like, you're not his mother, you don't need to be here. She's like, I'm here because I'm the sheriff.
Like, I do work here.
I do actually have to do this. Regina's like, oh yes, children stole. Emma kind of has to be here. You're a human. Go do your job.
Yeah, right?
Like
I
that's
love
basically
that.
what that went. She's just like, oh yeah, you have to be here. Okay, and walks away.
It's my brain is just, how did you forget already that that's her job? It's literally what she's supposed to be doing.
She's just like her entire thing is that she thinks Emma is just there to steal Henry. That's her thing. The pretty much for most of the first season.
Yeah, it's just weird because knowing that the curse is real and that does Regina know exactly who Henry is?
Yes, she does.
So is it actually motherly love or is it the oh man, it's so much to
I
this.
mean, that's the thing is okay. So I will continue on with what I said in I think in episode 105 is I will counter anyone to watch that episode and think that Regina does not love that boy.
I think she does love Henry.
She loves it. Here's the thing is we'll see in a flashback in a few seasons that she finds out after she adopts Henry who his mother is and who she
Okay.
is to Storybrooke. That's all I'm saying. Regina does love that boy. It's hard to tell from just these episodes.
Okay.
In full context, she absolutely does. But I
Okay,
can't say
good.
much more. That episode makes me cry.
Oh no, I'm gonna cry, aren't I?
I mostly watch it at like 4 a.m., so like that might not be the best indicator. But
Why are you up at 4 a.m.?
I mean, it's sometimes I've watched it at like it's my comfort episode, even though I cry. So if I can't sleep, that's what I watch. I'm not a smart person. We've established this.
No, you are a very bright person, so shush. This is what you get for befriending moms. That's all I'm gonna say.
And yet I have to keep telling you not to apologize.
I know.
Something I did actually want to bring up in my notes before I get back to some of the funny ones was a lot of this because Dean. Something I noticed a lot, especially now that I'm looking at the directors, now that Dean White is directing this one, he's very good with camera angles and with lighting, and that's always very important to him.
Hmm.
And I noticed that happens multiple times, not necessarily in this episode, but happens a lot. Is they will specifically show Regina's reflection before she says something as kind of an indicator that she may not be so truthful.
I like that.
I really like it too. And in this one specifically, when they see it in the scene where she tells Emma that she's already contacted the foster system in Boston to get them placed into homes, and she says, "I don't like it either." Like, I mean, we don't need that little indicator that Regina clearly is enjoying this. Like, but it's a cool shift kind of thingy
Yeah.
to kind of see that, and then even more so, which is the way that the CGI sets were designed in this episode. I mean, the CGI house, it's cartoony, but it's really well designed. The physical set that is the house was beautifully designed because that was a whole
Oh
practical set
yeah.
that they created.
I love when they do practical.
Yeah, because like they do such a good job with it, and I understand so much of it needs to be CGI because of the scale of these things. Like they can't like make one like castle and just kind of redress it every time so it looks different, but they can make these virtual sets much more easily. There is one practical set that like they do just redress 500 times, and it's like every time I'm seeing them like, oh, it's that cliff again from their CGI stage.
Oh my goodness. It's but also then it's also like the forest like you told me. So many things are
Yeah,
always used.
yeah. So many things are filmed in that same forest in Vancouver that like once you pick up on it, it's hard to unsee it every time that it's being used because they all use the same areas. My guess is the same areas are the ones that are zoned to be filmed in is probably why
Mhm.
it's like that, and the same areas you have to use the same camera angles because there's only so many places that the cameras can go amongst the trees.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why, like, here in Georgia, I think that's why, like, places in Atlanta, Savannah, and Augusta are, like, some of the most used places I've seen, which is really interesting to see because then I'm just like, I know this place. I've been there. It's very weird because Georgia has become such a big place to film and to do
Yeah.
things now. Like, Georgia's, I think, one of the top 3
Oh,
in
wow.
film now. Oh, yeah. We
Okay.
have a lot. It's it's weird. So, like, whenever you watch something, if you watch till the credits, quite a lot of things, especially some more Marvel stuff, it'll have Georgia at the end, which
Oh,
always
wow.
makes me angry because I'm like, if it's in Atlanta, that's less than 2 hours from me. I want to
Yeah.
see it,
That'd be nice.
right? Just once.
Yeah. Another of the CGI sets that and this is something that I picked up on this time that I really like. Regina's room, like her main chamber that we see. We've seen this a couple of times now in like 102 here, and then also we saw it in The Heart is Lonely Hunter. The color scheme of it has changed though, because in The Heart is Lonely Hunter, it's still it's still a lighter aesthetic, like not only the lighting, but like the wallpaper almost is like a light blue kind of thing, because it's in her time when she's still like she's just transitioning into the evil queen. She's still kind of the facade of the queen,
Like, her
more or
father's
less.
still alive. Her father's, like,
Well, her father doesn't die till very
that's
further,
not till
like the
they.
very end.
I don't understand the timeline.
Okay, so the scenes from 102 are like the end timeline right before the curse hits.
Are you serious? That's so
Yeah,
confusing.
yeah. Well, that's why you have me to figure it out for you.
Yeah, that's true.
But like, so like this episode and the next episode actually go kind of hand in hand with how they work time wise. Because when Regina's looking at the mirror and she sees snow and she goes, now she's cavorting with dwarves? When did that happen? You see that exact scene that we see in the mirror in the next episode. So like the flashback events of this episode and 7:15 a.m. kind of go at the same time.
I'm gonna repeat something I've been saying lately that you haven't seen, but I need a PowerPoint. I need a PowerPoint. I need a timeline. I need a visual because
I have a
I'm
whole
never gonna keep
timeline.
up with this. You have a whole timeline. I can't see it though because then I'll see things I haven't seen.
Yeah. No, you can't look at it yet, because this one I told Katie specifically to not look at my notes. Normally we don't look at each other's notes, but I
Yeah.
told him, like, if you want entertainment, go read mine from the episodes because they're chaotic. But I said specifically do not look at True North because there was a section that I had to work out some timing. Because Emma mentioned that it's been a month that she's been in Storybrooke, which prompted me to figure out how the timing of the next few episodes goes. Because if the first 9 episodes are a month, then other things need to work out. So honestly, now I'm rethinking my entire like timeline for the season. I never really worked out a timeline for the Storybrooke arc, but now that I'm thinking about it, I need to rethink how I've been thinking about season 1.
I can't wait to kind of just go back though once we get through so many episodes or each season and really get
Yeah.
to like deep dive more into it because
Mm-hmm.
I only have so much information.
Yeah, and I'm like talking about things like this one. This case isn't. I'm talking about a couple episodes in the future, but like, was it last time I was like talking about something from like episode like from like season 2? I'm like, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this in like 4 months.
Well, that's like me with Bob's. I'm always watching things because I always have Bob's on. It's what I do. And there's so many times an episode pops up. Like we were just talking about the Jewish deli stuff in the last
Yeah.
Bob's episode. And then another episode came on the other day with just my casual watching. And I'm like, oh, why is this in season 8?
Uh-huh.
I need Lauren to watch this now.
One of my notes talking about the conversation about Henry's dad. This one I can say because it's not a spoiler. When Henry asks, "Did you get married?" My next comment was, "It wouldn't have been legal."
That's what I was thinking when she was like, "Oh, I was working in a diner," and I'm just like,
because
how
she gives us a couple of time cards here specifically. She says when Mary Margaret says like like when they be safer in the foster system, Emma says someone who wasn't in it for 15 years. So that leads us to infer that she ran away from said system at roughly 15 years old. So we have
and
that.
due to trauma, she definitely was not adopted.
No, she was not adopted. Also, as I think I mentioned in our pilot episode, just to keep in mind, Henry is already 10 on her 28th birthday.
Yeah.
Meaning she was not 18 when she gave birth.
I know that math. I've done it twice.
That is math. So it's like the Henry's father thing just would not have been legal. And I'm just like,
Ooh.
There's so much I want to say there. There's so much I want to say about his father, and I can't because it's many episodes in the future for you. I kind of want to say something else, but I don't know how you're going to react. You've met his father.
Hold up, what?
You've met him.
Hold on, wait. Huh?
You figured that one out. I don't think you're going to, but you can.
I'm just looking out of the episode. Okay, I've only watched 9 episodes. Who
Uh-huh.
the fuck? There's so many. Oh god, it's not Rumpelstiltskin, I hope.
No, it's not Rumpelstiltskin.
My god, no! That's like no,
I'll leave you to ponder that one, but no, it's not Rumpelstiltskin, I promise.
I'm not me about to go binge the first 9 episodes again.
Please don't. We don't have enough time for that.
No, not right this second. Me just like in my own time of like trying to figure it out and see if I can pinpoint it. And we come back to you next week and go, is it this one? What is wrong with me?
I'll give you time to percolate on that one.
Ooh, good word.
It's a good time. Every once in a while, my brain does work as I mess up that sentence. I did like the little through line of as this is again a small detail. As you continue to think this over, I can see it on your face. You want to figure it out now.
I so much.
I know you want to figure it out. That over the course of the few day or two that we see Ava and Nicholas at Emma and Mary Margaret's apartment, in one scene we see them making cookies, and then the next time we see them, they are eating said cookies, which I just think is very cute.
Oh, that's adorable.
But I like those little through lines that they did in this episode, and especially again with family being such a big thing in this one, I think was very strong, especially even going down through to the very end with the conversation that the two of them have at the very end of the episode. Emma and Mary Margaret, I should say. I was gonna say the two of them, but then it ends with a conversation with Emma and Henry, so that's not an indicative sentence. But I like the conversation with Emma and Mary Margaret towards the end where, Emma starts saying, if they wanted to know me, they wouldn't make it so hard to look. She's like, maybe. But maybe there are reasons. Maybe there is another explanation. It's like, if there is something even crazier than Henry's theory. Yeah, what's Henry's theory? Well, my parents put me in a magical wardrobe and sent me to this world to save them. Who does he think they are? Well, for one, you. Me. Well, Snow White. Snow White has a kid. Apparently that book you gave him, not exactly the stories in the most traditional sense. I've got a kid. You'd think I'd remember that. Yeah, you'd think. You do kind of have my chin. Which, if you look closely, they do all kind of have the same chin.
They do. I would like to remind everybody that Lauren does this by memory.
Lauren messed that one up a lot.
Yeah, but you still remembered it. That is a feat.
It is a feat. I don't think I have any other dialogues memorized, at least until 113, I think.
113. Which one?
That's what happened to Frederick.
I am ready for that episode.
I know you're so excited for that one.
I want to meet Frederick.
I know you want to meet Frederick. I think it's 113.
I think it is.
Sounds right.
I think you're right.
Yeah. I think that's the next dialogue that I have memorized.
Well, I look forward to that very, very much.
It's going to be a good time. I mean, I love that episode. That's a great episode. It gives us a lot of very necessary backstory, but there's a lot of cool stuff that's going to happen in between, especially in the next episode.
Do I get my I called it episode between now and then?
About a certain doubling up of a character?
I think I do.
Yes, you do.
Okay, I have to say, though, I have been really good about calling things.
Uh-huh.
And figuring things out. Like, the curse was, of course, going to be real. Like, that...
I mean...
How hard is it to... It has to be.
There's only so many places for the story to go if that's not the case.
I think for me, it was more so thinking, like, Regina knew. I said from the beginning, like, Regina knows. So I had that one right. Mm-hmm. And then we talked about the whole Beauty and the Beast thing, because that's my favorite fairy tale. Yeah. And I'm just like, it's Rumpelstiltskin. So, I know I'm right about that.
I can't even deny that one. Like, that's just like, that's almost kind of a given.
It's a given. Now I have to figure out who the hell Henry's father is, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to guess, and I am very excited.
He has been on screen at least once in the first 9 episodes. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, I'm serious. That's all I'm going to say about that.
My poor husband, he's just going to be like, why are you watching so much TV right now? And I'm going to have to say, I have to pay very close attention to men in this show.
Okay, so wait, hang on. I'm trying to think. The reveal of Henry's father is technically towards the end of season 2.
Oh my god. So next year.
But here's the thing. If you figure it out after a certain episode, I will confirm it. after a certain episode.
Yes.
I won't tell you what that episode is, but I will confirm
Look,
it
I
if you figure it
like
out.
being right
Yes.
sometimes.
I know. Yes, I'll give you that. I'll confirm it if you guess it.
Awesome. Well, it's just you and Steven are always telling me things, and I have to admit that y'all are right. And you know what? I want to be right for once. I want to hear you guys tell me.
Well, here's the thing: is most of the time with these kinds of things, like I mean, I just told you were right about Rumpelstiltskin being the Beast. There's no not getting that.
Oh, that
That's
was a
given at
wonderful
this.
moment for me.
I'm glad, but it's like it's with these shows. It's just like there are some things that I just can't confirm, even if you are right, until a certain point.
That's fair.
It makes it more satisfying.
I'm going to just continue to tell myself that the show is not predictable. I'm just good at this because it makes me feel better.
I mean, you could say that the show is fairly predictable, honestly, if you're
Right now, yeah.
yeah, if like especially right now where it's very much like it's they're not fooling anyone with a lot of their twists. There is one coming that I did not see coming the very first time I watched it. I will say it was very shocking.
Well, I wonder if I'll see it coming.
I don't know. We shall see.
I mean, I didn't see the thing with Graham coming. That was upsetting.
That's true. That's true. I didn't warn you about that one in any way, shape, or form. I'm just like, we'll let you see Graham die all on your own.
It was not a fun experience.
No, it wasn't. So, do you want to do some stats?
Yes. So I kind of enjoyed this one.
Okay,
It wasn't my favorite.
that's fair.
Hansel and Gretel is just not high on my list.
That's
So I
understandable.
gave it 7 for character, 7 for personal, and 6 for plot. So it only has a 20, which
Okay.
is my lowest score yet, but it was the story of Hansel and Gretel, and the only thing that was like, oh my god, was the guy showing up and the apple.
Mm-hmm.
So for
That's
me, it was
fair.
just kind of like,
Yeah, that's fair.
okay, not terrible, but it's there.
Yeah, this one I give them a little bit of grace because again, it's kind of in like their season 1 storytelling structure is very much like let's just drop these fairy tales and
Mm-hmm.
see where they land, which will kind of almost be to their detriment as the show goes on because we'll see a few like kind of let's drop this fairy tale and see what happens, but the character does stick around and then people kind of expect that and then it doesn't happen. So like cuz I always say
Oh.
that they're very like 2 kids, they're not going to keep the kids around. That's kind of like as not as new like background extra like regular kind of situation. Like that's kind of almost expected with kid characters. But
Yeah.
like I always say it's one of the show's greatest strengths and their greatest detriments. They are very good at character creation. They create characters that people latch onto so easily and so quickly because they've written them really well. They've given them great stories, great dialogue. They've cast them really well. People will fall in love with these characters after one episode.
Mm-hmm.
But then that one episode is all we get.
Well, it's also that they're based on fairy tale characters too. Like me, I love Beauty and the Beast. I guarantee
Yeah.
you, I'm gonna love whoever they chose as Belle,
Mhm.
as long as she's done well. Guarantee you, I'm gonna love her. So I think
Yeah.
that's also on those lines. Is this is based on stories that a lot of us grew up on. So it's not
Yeah.
just that they've also done a very really wonderful job. We have
Mhm.
all this nostalgia. Put those two together, and hello fandom.
Yep, pretty much. It's hard not to succeed if the characters are this well written.
Yes. Now I am really excited to see who plays Belle.
I think you're gonna love Belle. Yeah, I'm not gonna add anything onto that. You're gonna
Nope.
love her.
just,
No,
just
no additions.
no additions. I'll find out in a few episodes.
Yeah. So like I said, I give them a little bit of grace with the kind of the story structure of this. I find this one relatively enjoyable, mostly I think because Regina gets to go super villainy in this
Mm-hmm.
as the evil queen. She gets to like go like real super villain, kind of like literally cackling as she's like wandering over the children with like the bad CGI vines. So that gives me a little more enjoyment out of it. I gave it an 8 for personal, an 8 for character, and a 6 for plot. Mostly because it is very episodic. It does feel a little bit of drop, and there's not a whole lot of I guess there's not a lot of context with the rest of this or consequence, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
with the rest of the season. It's just kind of there. And especially the plot holy kind of situation going on with the apple and the sleeping curse and this and the other things. It just feels a little out of place with the way that it
Yeah.
fits within the grand scheme of the story. So it loses points. So it ended up with a 22, which is not the lowest. I do think Price of Gold is still the lowest ranked episode so far, which I don't think I ever expected. Like I even gave Desperate Souls a higher score than Desperate
Mm-hmm.
Souls, or so than Price of Gold. But I think it's an okay episode. It just has some things that I can't necessarily get over. like the plot hole thing and all that.
The apple got me. I was like, this is how we
Yeah.
got the apple?
Yeah, it's underwhelming if it's she just
Yeah.
because the implication is that the blind witch stole it from her first, so that's why she's getting it back. But apparently, they're not as she says. Her line is, you aren't the first boy or girl that I sent into that sticky sweet house." So like, it's been for a while that she's been sending children there. It's unclear. The chain of custody is unclear,
But I mean,
but
she's kept her friend well fed.
she has. But then she, burns her alive in an oven with an epic line of, "I would have gone gravy."
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that was such a good line.
Such a good line.
But at the very end, when the stranger played by Ian Bailey shows up, I just that the scene is very cool the way they do it with all of them. And again, the geography of that street is, I think we kind of figured it out with like the garage is across the street from Granny's and Mary Margaret's apartment is
Mm-hmm.
on the same street, which still makes it unclear as to why Mary Margaret ever gets in her car coming out of Granny's, because she'll do that at one point. I'm very confused why she like leaves Granny's.
Like, is she going home?
That's the because her car is parked in front of Granny's. So the implication is that she's driving home. It's bizarre, but like you just have Emma and Henry out on Main Street again. Child, why are you out at night? What's going on here? He left his home, presumably on foot, went to Granny's, got pie, and then walked down the street in the hopes that Emma would be outside. Like, child, why are you out late getting pie? Where is your mother?
As always, where is your mother and why are you doing this?
Regina's boy toy is gone.
Yeah, and like, where's
What
the
could she be doing?
mayor's house?
It's I don't know. Like, the geography of it is very confusing. So I just kind of go like, you know what? The more I think about the geography of Storybrooke, much like the timeline and the curse and how all that works, the more you think about it, the less it makes sense. So I just try not to.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Bob's Burgers Season 2, Episode 3, Synchronized Swimming, and Season 2, Episode 4, Burger Bus. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. And follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren.